Welcome. I'm going to talk about crawling, just crawling right now. And crawling is very specific to Shiatsu and the intention of Shiatsu. So the style of Shiatsu that we're learning here is Zen style. You'll notice the title of Seymour's book is Zen Touch, so he trademarked a Zen style of Shiatsu. I'm teaching you more of a generic Zen style. The word Zen, as most of you probably are familiar with it, can be a form of meditation, which is when you're listening and observing, and you're not taking action. So crawling is very specific to that, and it can be. I find it pretty challenging for beginning massage therapists because you want to do things, you want to get in there and do something, but this technique is about listening. So when we begin our recipe, we'll begin with crawling. And this is, so of course you're going to have your initial intake with your client about, do they have any pain? Are there any big issues going on? So you'll have a verbal conversation with them, any things that you need to be aware of. But crawling is listening with your body. And so, it doesn't take long, it takes 2 minutes, and we're just going to cover the whole body, but it has a very clear intent, and that intent is to listen and not to react. Okay, so you're gathering information. So just like the word means, crawling, you're going to be on your hands and knees. So usually when I have a class, before we do this work, I actually we get down and we crawl. So if you crawl, you'll notice that there's even weight on your knees and your hands. And one thing I want to point out to you is that when you would crawl, you wouldn't crawl, let me get back here. You wouldn't crawl and push and crawl and push and crawl and push, okay? There's no pushing. So I'm going to come in. So I like to stay close to the middle of the body. I don't come onto the sides because that would hyperextend my wrists. So you want to come in, and you can begin anywhere you want, but notice that my knees are back far. So look at my back. One thing, because I've been practicing so long, I know that I need to use my core. So it's not something I'm conscious about. You probably have to make yourself conscious about using your core to keep your back flat and straight. And so the reason why my knees are back this far, it's really important body mechanics. So if I bring my knees in, notice now my back is arched, and notice how my shoulders, my wrists are hyperextended. This is a great way to ruin your wrists. So you need to get your knees back, and then notice that my shoulders, see if I drop a straight line down, my wrists are a little bit in front of my shoulders. I never want my shoulders to be in front of my wrists. So I'm back far enough, and it's only my body weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, the person isn't going to feel like a lot of pressure. And let me tell you, I'm going to show you how to squish people. You're going to get all the pressure that you need, but not when you're crawling. So come in. And then the other thing that's important is that you pick up one hand and that you place it down. And then you pick up the other hand and you place it down. So what happens to the weight is that this weight doesn't go into the other hand. It actually goes into my dantian. So my client doesn't feel, so if you choose to study Thai, which is amazing work, they have this really wonderful technique called elephant walk, and they shift the weight back and forth. This is not elephant walk. I don't shift more weight into my hands. So just pick up one hand and place it down. Pick up the other hand and place it down. And I always want to keep my dantian in between my hands. The other thing that's really important is that you need to use your whole hand. So it's really important when your partner works on you, they should feel weight go all the way out to your fingertips. What can happen is that the person can use more the heel of their hand and not their fingers. That's another way to injure your wrists. So you want to make sure, so sometimes you even have to lift the heels of your hands up a little bit to get that pressure all the way to your fingertips. So I'll move one hand at a time. So right here, I'm in the in-between stage where I might need to move my body. I'm gonna intentionally not move my body so that you can see if I pick this hand up. Now notice how I'm twisted and my dantian is not in between my hands. So I need to move down and so I'm constantly adjusting my dantian so that I'm in between my hands. So now, down here at the feet, I need to make a transition to go to the other side. So I'm gonna take a pause in my crawling. I wanna keep my connection to my client. So I usually just like to put a fist here, and then I step across, and then that slides down, and that goes here. And then I step across here. And now I'm able to do crawling again. Notice how I'm not even on the mat anymore. Now, if you have problems with your wrists, you can crawl like this. So keeping your arms straight. As a practitioner, this might feel awkward because you're not using the palms of your hand. You're not getting the same amount of information because you probably haven't used this part of your hand yet. But you really need to protect your wrists. So you can always, if your wrists get tired, you can always go into this. But you can also crawl with your forearms. So the trick here is to just so I might, on the back, I might be perpendicular, or I might come up parallel. So those are some variations you can do if you have difficulty with your wrists. So you crawl the body and you find out maybe there was tightness here, maybe there was softness here, and you just remember those things. The pattern of crawling, so our intent is to listen and not to respond. And the pattern is going to lead into another technique that's very specific to Shiatsu, which is mother hand, son hand, but you have to do the crawling first. So I just want to repeat again that when I move my hands come in, I pick one hand up and place it down. And then I pick the other hand up and place it down. And let me just so that you can see it, I'd like to just do one crawl, his entire body, without talking, so you can see my pace. It really just takes 2 minutes. And there you go. That's crawling. Thank you.